Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Relapse Tackle. In this video we're going to be pouring up some jigs that would typically have a fiber weed guard. We're going to pour them using some new material that I just got in. It's a high temp silicone gasket material. And then what I did is I cut it. It's probably a little over 1/8 of an inch long. Just cut a piece off using a flush cutter and then stabbed a hole through it with a little wire form, and then stuck these up inside there, and then kind of pull this back and forth, kind of wear a hole into it a little bit bigger, and then we're going to pour up these jigs, put that wire in there like that. I have a football head mold up on top of the lee pot. I got my vent hood hooked up. You probably can't hear it because of the noise canceling mic, but that is on, pulling the fumes outside and the heat. Like, I can put my hands around here. I don't feel any of the heat from the lee pot because it's all going up and outside. So I'm going to move this closer and then show the whole process. So give me a second. All right, so take a piece of that. Like I said, it doesn't need to be very long, just like 1/8 of an inch or so. Cut it with a flush cutter or a razor knife, and then you're going to want to try to take and poke through the very center of it. If it's a little off center, it should be all right. Just make sure when you poke through it that you don't stab yourself in the finger. So that one's kind of crooked, but it's all right. As long as the starting hole is really close to being centered, it'll be all right, because after this is poured, you can kind of bend them, manipulate the stainless wire just a little bit. So I feel that on a bass jig, one of these is not quite enough. So I'm going to be using 2 of them. And then there you go again, twisting it back and forth. You can grab yourself with pliers carefully and then poke them through. And then you're going to want to position them. You can leave them like that. You can turn them together however you want them in the mold. So, all right, now I'm going to take my gloves. I do not have any hooks or anything in there. I'm going to use some 32786 NP-BN. So they're black nickel 3/0 hooks. They're mustad hooks. So this mold, I got a little hot there, burnt the handle. Be careful how you set them up on top of your lee pots. And then you use a WB800 bait keeper in this mold. I did not mention what mold this is. I know I mentioned it's a football, but I'll read off the number in a second. This mold is pretty hot, so be extremely careful so you don't burn yourself. So now you're going to want to set, I'm going to try not to spill anything. You're going to want to set everything in there so that the silicone part is even with the top of that rounded head. If it's in too far, you'll leave a little dimple. If it's out too far, you'll leave a little raised spot. And maybe that's what you're going for. Make sure the mold closes tight and there's no gaps. And then, since I have this mold nice and hot, I'm going to just put the spout right up next to the gate. So a little bit of black transferred to that high temp silicone because of um, the dry graphite that's on the mold. A little bit didn't pour either, so there's a little hole there. I would probably use it in my own personal stuff just because it's a pain to try to melt everything down and save all the hooks and so on and so forth. And then you can take your high temp material, slide it off of there. I would typically leave this cool down a lot more so that the lead is fully set up before cutting the sprue off, but just for the video, I'm just gonna cut it off right now. And then when you go to paint these, you can cover up these wires. I've found you get them hot, and this one, yeah. So these high temp silicone caps, I put a slit in them so that you can put that. So when you get the lead warm, and then slide this down so that there's just a little bit of a gap, so that you're only getting a little bit of paint on the metal. And if you file them very slowly. You don't want to get any of them lead particulates flying around. And then after you're done painting this jig, then you can spread these out to your liking. But just a quick video showing how you can do that. If you like the video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and make sure you subscribe for more if you haven't already. So we're gonna do another one, see if we can get that to pour all the way. And actually I'll just paint these two real quick too, just so that you guys can see that as well. A lot of times I'll take weed guards like this and wrap them around the hook, but you don't need to do that either. Just as long as they're positioned all right when you pour them, they're not going to come out of there because of that kink in them. Again, make sure that the mold is closed all the way. And make sure you always wear your gloves. I should be wearing a long sleeve shirt. This one did not pour either. This one actually is worse yet. So we got to let these hooks sit in there a little bit longer and let them warm up, because the lead's cooling down too much, too fast. So I'm not looking at pouring a whole bunch of these. I just wanted to show you guys that high temp silicone material that I got from Granger. Do that. And there is 5 feet of it. So you're only using 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch. And it's reusable. I don't know how long it takes before it's wore out, but 5 feet of it, you'll get a lot out of it. So I will show how to paint that real quick. And like I said, if you're going to file them very slowly and keep it away from your face, and then move slowly, because these ones are stand-up football. You're going to want to clean them up a little bit. That's pretty good. And then I just take this and turn my file over another can that has my lead. So I wasn't planning on painting them, but let's just do I don't even know what I have for skirts down here. Sorry about being unprepared. So, let's just go with silver pearl, and then we'll do a just sprinkle in some black over top of it. I like using the torch for Stardust. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. And I'm going to put my cap back on there, but keep it away from the lead so that I can heat this up and then slip it down in there. It's kind of difficult to do with gloves on. So I'm going to put it up like that so that I can heat this lead up a little bit. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Slide it down. Got a little bit of a gap. And I don't want to put it in there for too long. So there's a little bit in the hook eye. I'm not concerned about that. And you could use forceps as well. I was using my gloves. Now I'm going to switch over to these. So I got this a little bit further away now. And now I'm going to sprinkle in a little black. I didn't slide my cap down, but that's all right. I'm going to heat it up just a little bit more. All right. Silver pearl with the black in there. Pull that off of there. I'm going to chill it in some water because I'm not adding any weed guards or anything. So the weed guards are already there. If I was going to use a fiber weed guard, I would have held off and not chilled it with water because I don't want that water down in there unless you have time to make sure it's dried out before gluing your weed guards in. So now I'm going to use this Green Pumpkin Pro Skirt. I'm just going to flip this out like that and then stick the hook through there. And like I said, that one had that where it didn't pour all the way. I'm not worried about it because I'm going to use this myself. All right. And now you can spread those wires out a little bit if you want. There you have it. So that is the 1/4 ounce football. The model is FWB-4M-ASU. And this is one mold that I have yet to modify. It doesn't really need to be modified, and that's another reason for using the high temp silicone material is I didn't modify it. I can still pour using the metal pull pins. I don't typically use those, but they just drop right into that little spot there if you were going to pour with those. And then if you're not going to pour with those, I pour with these Teflon or PTFE pins all the time. And then I add this little O-ring so that I can get my, so I can set this in there. And then, heck did I set my hooks? So what I do is I set it in there and I put my hook. So this one, I can use a 3/0 in this spot as well. Put the 3/0 hook in there in place, and then hold that O-ring in place, and then slide your pin up to it where it touches the hook. And then you can pour with that, and then you can put your fiber weed guards in. But like I said, always make sure that the mold closes all the way. That O-ring helps hold that still, so it won't slide on you. Because if you don't put the O-ring on there, a lot of times you go to close it up, and they sometimes fall right out of there. Sometimes they hold, sometimes they don't. I don't like taking the chance of them shifting because that just leads to bad pours, and then you end up having to try to melt the lead back off the hook to save the hook and all the other stuff, and a lot of times it's not really worth the hassle. So thanks for watching. Please share it, subscribe for more, and be sure to make some comments too if you have any questions or any positive feedback. Let me know.